All right, so like I said, we're not going to fully take you there back down into that dark place, although we kind of will, but not really. I am going to tell you a little story first, just a tiny story, because we just heard a story about a literal monster of a father, and it reminded me of my dad, who you already know is a good guy, because I've told you about it, but there was a time when he looked like a monster. So I'm going to tell you about this. So my dad is not a hobbies person at all. He would rather sort of watch the golf channel and drink scotch than basically do anything else. Like have a meaningful conversation with any of his relatives, anything like that. But that's a father thing, I think. So I'm not sure what possessed him at one point to take a scuba diving class, but he did it nonetheless. So, to give you a little bit more background, this is when we first moved to Fayetteville. My mother was the director of the Arkansas Music Festival, which most people probably won't remember, but was like a 3-week, 2.5-week to 3-week festival that happened once a year in Fayetteville, mostly classical music concerts, some jazz, some blues. And she was basically the only full-time employee, and it took an entire year to schedule this festival, and so that was her job. And I'm sure that there was a similar conversation to the one that she had when she told us to get the fuck out of the house and go to the fair. I'm sure she was telling my father, find something to do. Find something to do. So he did. He decided he was going to take a scuba diving class, which was weeks of enjoyment of being at the bottom of the hyper pool on campus. And then he got rewarded by taking a final exam at the bottom of Beaver Lake, where you get to find a dead body. Because that's where dead bodies are. They're at the bottom of Beaver Lake. Anybody that's drinking water, take a big old gulp of water right now. Because it comes from Beaver Lake. All right, So Dad's been swimming around the bottom of the hyper pool for a couple of weeks, and he's going to take his final test. And like my dad, this is very much like my dad, I'm sure he just didn't pay attention. He was just like, whatever. I was told to do this, I'm going to go do it. And he didn't really pay attention to his instruction. I don't think he really took it very seriously. So when he goes for his final exam at the bottom of Beaver Lake, he fucks up royally, and he does not equalize the pressure in his mask as he comes up from however deep where the dead bodies are in Beaver Lake, and his mask sucks onto his face. So we get a call that he's in the emergency room, and we have to go get him, and I'm riding with my brothers, who's probably like 15, 16 years old at this point, and we have to go get him because it's the night before the beginning of the Arkansas Music Festival. Yeah. So we go get him, and I remember in the car being pouty and being like, I'm missing Nick at night. And my brother's like, you should be thinking about your dad. He could be in really bad shape. I'm like, whatever. Today's special was going to be like really good today. So I didn't care. So we get him, and it's like, oh my God. So when your mask sucks onto your face, it breaks all the blood vessels in your face and also in your eyeballs. So the whites of his eyes are blood red. And he's kind of bruised, although it got worse. He turned black around this area, like a raccoon with red eyes and green pupils. So we take him home, and my mom's just like, oh, yeah, of course, Jesus, you're fucking worthless. So the next day, it's the first concert of the Arkansas Music Festival, and the concert is a jazz concert down at Drake Field, which, if anybody lived here before we got the really fancy new airport called XNA, we used to have a janky-ass little airport down in South Fayetteville at Drake Field. And so it's in their hangar, and it's going to be a jazz concert. And the reason that I know this story is true is because when I first started working at KUAF, my coworker, Robert Ginsburg, who's the jazz programmer, was like, huh, tell you the story about your dad. All right, so Robert's in charge of the jazz concert. And my dad has been given the task of going to Show Enough Barbecue to pick up the barbecue catering for the concert. So this is another old school Fayetteville landmark, if people know. Show Enough Barbecue was down below the old courthouse, sort of in the dip, what we call the holler. So, all right, so Dad's been sent to go get the barbecue, and he looks like a demon. He looks like a fucking demon. He's 6'2", he's a gentle giant, except for he has demon eyes. So he's been sent to get the barbecue, and he just doesn't come back. He's not coming back. It's not happening. Like, no catering is being delivered. And this is before we had cell phones, this is the dark ages, and so nobody knows what's happened to my father. Robert Ginsburg has to go to Show Enough Barbecue to find out where the hell my dad is. And he sees him sitting on the curb, which is also another very dad thing to do, because this is what happened. He walks up and he's like, Jim, what's going on? And my dad is like, I went in to get the barbecue and nobody would look me in the face. Like people just are not gonna acknowledge him. They're like, they look at him, they're like, oh fuck no, no. Don't look at him, he'll leave. So we went outside and he sat on the curb and waited. Robert went in, he got the barbecue, he took it to the thing. The next 3 weeks, he got more terrifying looking and was even more worthless to my mother, which I will tell you, as I was like, Mom, I'm gonna tell this story. She was like, make sure you tell them how mad I was about that. They just left me. All right, Mom. So the reason I was telling my mom is because we were looking for a picture. So I want you all to steel yourselves, because we're gonna show it for just a couple of seconds, because this shit is terrifying. You ready? Boom! Ah! Take it down. That's been on my phone for a week. It's brought me nightmares. I've had people be like, send me more text so the shit gets out of my screen. It's awful. All right. He recovered. He's fine. His face is fine. His eyes are fine. He never scuba dived again, which I'm sure was his plan from the beginning. It's not like Dad was going to go have a big scuba diving career. All right.